Hello, hello, hello. It's Holly Rustic here with grant writing and funding, and welcome to another amazing podcast episode. And this is a bonus episode, so I'm really excited because we're talking to one of the Academy members, Tina Maharath, and she is going to blow your minds today because I just found out some interesting news about her today. She's a former state senator. Love it so much. So we're going to be talking about her grant writing business inside the Academy. And she is president of Lobby Edge. Thank you so much for being here, Tina. I'm so excited to talk to you about all the things.
Yeah, I'm so excited to share my journey and where I'm at today now.
Awesome. Love it so much. Yeah, because I'm like, oh my gosh, you're in the Academy. You've been just like, I've already seen here. Okay, so I'm just going to give away the teasers right away. Already over $820,000 in grant funding that you secured so far, and over $67,500 in your business. Like, you are cranking it inside the Academy. We wanted to pull you on and say, hey, what are all the special things you doing? I had to make this work, and all of your background, your experience, all the things that go into it. So excited. But before we get there, like always, I love the origin stories. And yeah, so I already guys give you a little spoiler alert. but tell me, let's get into it. How did you get into grant writing?
So yeah, I actually used to do grant writing as a volunteer basis for most of my youth, basically. So I used to live in Columbus, Ohio, where I volunteered with the Columbus Asian Festival. And that's how I got connected with all these nonprofits. Nonprofits needed some volunteers to help them. So I helped nonprofits for, I want to say 10 years plus with grant writing to try to secure funding for most of it was cultural festivals or any like cultural nonprofits. Yeah, in 2018, I just decided that the lack of funding for these nonprofits and like the advocacy for more immigrants and refugees were really lacking in Ohio. I got tired of it. So because we don't have an Asian American Commission over in Ohio, which essentially is like the middleman communications between state government and Asian Americans, essentially. So I decided to run for office back in 2018, where I became Ohio's first Asian American woman elected to the state legislature. So I
Okay,
just,
I
yeah.
got a clap and I got applause. Yes. So good.
I changed history. I made a lot of policy changes that really impacted not only Asian Americans, but women and working parents throughout my time with the Ohio Senate. Unfortunately, my term came to an end December of 2022. But I wanted to keep the momentum going. My husband lived in Minnesota, so I moved over to Minnesota at the end of December 2022. I started lobbying with a firm, but then after I realized that I have a lot of connections and I'm bringing in a lot of clients to this firm, I decided to actually take my clients and start my own firm to just go off on my own and just have more freedom. And after a year lobbying, that's when I noticed the common theme with my clients were that they really need grant writing help. I stumbled upon the podcast because I was trying to find different podcasts to listen to like try to increase my grant writing skills. And that's where I landed on you all because you all had an academy that provided a really great package for the price. And I just thought, okay, this is a great investment. I'm going to have to invest in it because it gives me resources that I'm going to need to like kind of help me with my imposter syndrome, and then also give me some like support to know that okay, I'm not crazy. This is the world we're living in right now, and the world of grant writing, and I just have to find a solution to my problems.
I love that so much. And I love how you've gotten into it and just like, representing your community and being able to be there to serve them and then get resources, like so important. So I've also got to like kind of talk because we're recording this the end of May 2025, and like a lot has changed. Like, and as a politician, like how does that, like what kind of viewpoint do you bring into that? Because I would be really interested. Obviously, you have a lot of experience in that, in the politics and realm of, you know what I mean, everything that's going on.
Yeah, that is the plus side of being a former elected official is I know the ins and outs of state government and a little bit of the ins and outs of federal government. So one thing I liked about the academy is I got a more in-depth of the insights and outs of the federal government because I was a state senator. I used to do some lobbying work and volunteer work with the federal lobbying side, but it's not as extensive as my state legislator experience. So like providing resources on like the words of not to use and to use for federal grants helped a lot for some clients. And then my inside knowledge of state legislature. I know exactly what works, what doesn't work for state grants as well. And that's how I was able to succeed so far. I'm walking into like the end of my third month in, and you've already spit my numbers out. That's a lot for 3 months.
Crazy. Yeah, that notion, it's not over 2 years or three, it's 3 months. 3 months. That's amazing. Yeah, and bringing in, like, do you feel like it helped you to bring in, like you said, you have a lot of contacts, you have, like, that was really good. And was that also like just easy to kind of reach out to them? Because I know a lot of people have imposter syndrome, even to talk to, like, especially talk to people they know. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Well, not only do I have my own personal experience of networking, but the academy also helped expand on where else to go. So, what the academy was kind of reminded me about where to go, which was like chamber events. That was the first place I should have went when I decided to expand my business out to grant writing services, but I didn't think anything of it. When I think chamber
Mhm.
events, I think, oh, that's where I could find new lobbying clients. Okay, how about nonprofits for grant writing clients? Like, why not? They're also there too, trying to find more funding resources, and I could be the resource for them. And then
Yeah.
like other suggestions I've heard also as well in the academy included like going to like the hub of your grant writing services in your state. So in Minnesota, it's Minnesota Nonprofit or Minnesota Council of Nonprofits. So reaching out to them and going out to their events has been helping me out incredibly with leads. And then our Freedom to Fail Fridays, where we're talking about different ways to market ourselves too, that's really helped a lot too, because that's one thing that I lack is marketing. I know how to network. I know how to find the right person, the right places to contact. I'm not hesitant whatsoever about marketing my skills, but it's just where to market, how to market, what's a good place and good start. That's where I lacked a lot. So like having those ideas every Friday helps a lot. Like having a poll, like funny poll or things like that. Like it helps tremendously because like I'm not really creative when it comes down to new marketing styles.
I love that you're jumping in that. Yeah, and that was so funny because that was just a challenge that we had, like as an extra benefit inside the academy. And then we had it for like 14 days or like 30 days, I think. And then we were saying, oh, this is really good. Like people really like this. We wanted to make it more evergreen inside. And then actually Gwen, or one of our co-coaches, that was her idea, is just to have it on Fridays and just drop a nugget every Friday. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much easier too for people to put in their schedules. And like you have to market in your business all the time, right? So it's one of those things that just has to be a part of it. So that just makes sense, like once a week to do something, right? Like maybe something new, and it's pretty easy. Like we give
Yeah.
templates in there sometimes and stuff. So I'm so glad that you're utilizing that and that it's helpful, because it's nice to know, like, even because you're kind of like extroverted a little bit, I think. Like, right, out there and talk to people, but like to know where your who is hanging out and the decision makers are is the thing to know as well, right? So I'm glad that's helping get clients. Like, yeah, that's so fun. So good. So in the academy then, like, just tell us, like, were you even doing grant writing in your business before 3 months ago, or was this all new when you joined?
This was absolutely new because the conversations I was having with clients was the common theme of we need grant writers, we need grant writers. And I just thought, wait, why can't I provide those services for them? It can be as extra charge or it could be in lieu of lobbying, because in Minnesota, their legislative session is only 6 months. So for the rest of the 6 months of the year, I can snag that client to be a year round client and spend the other 6 months doing some grant writing strategy for them or just grant funding strategies for them. And it's helped tremendously. So I was able to convert two former lobbying clients to a grant writing client instead, and that's how I've been able to help secure some of the funding. Because fortunately enough, like I learned about their background and all their program and all the work they did. So after lobbying, so that's how I was able to secure one of the grants, was actually using their story that I did from lobbying and putting it into a grant for the state. And we've been hitting the ground running right now, and we got more grants to come. But then the academy just helps me so much tremendously with like converting those clients from lobbying into grant writing client, like having those sales pitch and just being able to make that pitch to also like going into the right room. So when I'm at these chamber events, like things to break the ice or how to start that conversation has helped tremendously. And because what I do is I look at like the previous podcast and find a topic that I really like, or previous coaching call and find a topic that I like and just use it for whenever I go out to the network.
Oh, I love that. That's so good. You're so smart. That's what you do. You get like a little gem of something we've taught and then go teach it, basically. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
So smart. That is the entrepreneur in you too. Yeah. Love that. I know I'm always like, people are always just stressing out, but I don't know how to do all the things. And I'm like, if you want to add that service, just go learn it. Like there are resources out there. I remember when people first came to me for board training, and I was like, and as an entrepreneur, and I was like, sure, I got you. And then I like went and got a course on Udemy.
Yep.
And like all the things. And then like, over time, like doing it multiple times and pulling your own experiences and case studies into it, like that's how people do it, right? So I love that you're doing that. Like, ooh, little teaching. Now I'm gonna go teach it. So good. Yeah, so let me know too, like, I mean, and this is still blowing my mind. Like 3 months ago, you did not have grant writing in your business, and now you do, and you've pulled in almost $1 million in grant funding into your business. So, and you obviously written grants before. I know when you joined, you said you wanted to increase your skills, though. Like, and you said you kind of mentioned it a little bit when we first started talking. You had a little imposter syndrome around it. So how has it been helpful with learning the grant side a little bit more? Because we do have a lot of grant training, obviously, in our academy too.
Absolutely. I love the grant reviews because that's what clears up my imposter syndromes. I'm like, oh, that's the only feedback I got. That makes me feel great. Because I just have that imposter syndrome thinking, I've never done this professionally before. I don't think I'm doing it right. But then when I submit my grant reviews for the reviews for a grant writing academy, that's when I realized like, oh, it was all in my mind this whole time. I'm actually doing a really great job. It's like just having the review just kind of eases my mind and gets rid of my imposter syndrome. So that's helped tremendously because it's been shifting my mindset because and before I joined the academy I just thought like, well, I've never done it professionally. I've only done it as a volunteer position, but I really have this business need in the community, so why not do it? So I changed my mindset from that to this is a part of my business. This is a part of Lobby Edge services. If nonprofits in the Midwest are thinking of a grant writing business, they should be coming to Lobby Edge because Lobby Edge knows what it takes to not only write a grant, but write a winning grant too, and how to strategically or strategize for your nonprofit to do that. So it's helped so much tremendously when it comes down to approaching people in like these networking events. So that way I know exactly who to talk to, what to say, and just have that confidence to do it. Because in the past, I've always known how to do it as a lobbyist. Like, oh, I'm a former state senator who's passed bills. Of course, hire me as a lobbyist. But now, like, I'm trying to change that narrative to I also do grant writing strategy if your nonprofit needs any funding strategy help.
I love that. I love that so much. And I love that it's just like that public service kind of servant in you, like too, just to help, right? To help
Yeah.
nonprofits too and to get funding during these times. And this is also once again, 2025, almost $1 million in 3 months. Like it is happening. There are still grants out there. All y'all don't worry about it. Like, and what type of nonprofits do you have? A certain type? Like we talk a lot about like your change statement inside the academy. Have you kind of narrowed that down, or do you keep it kind of broader just for geographically more? Can you kind of talk about that too?
Yes, I'm still trying to learn my niche. So right now, like I do have a lot of arts and cultural nonprofits as clients, and it's not that they're not my niche. It's just I feel like just the nonprofit sector in general, like it's just so broad and like it's so expansive in the state of Minnesota and let alone in the Midwest because I've helped more clients outside of Minnesota. So I haven't exactly found my niche, but I do have a passion when it comes down to those organizations who are trying to help immigrants and refugees, and I do find a passion for those who are trying to find or find more resources for women, more specifically women who's been victims of abuse.
Mm-hmm. And they really need your help. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many organizations out there. There are not enough grant writers. And especially nowadays, like they need to know how to get the grants that are out there for them. So that is so great. And yeah, and just once again, $7 million in 2025 for arts and cultural organizations. Like there's money out there. You're doing it. I love that you're pushing through. You're doing it and getting the reviews because we have unlimited grant reviews. So I love that you're taking advantage of that. We're like, everybody take advantage of it. Because even if you like are feeling pretty confident, it still just gives eyes on it. Like I've been writing grants for over 2 decades. I still love getting eyes on my grants too, because you're so in it when you're writing it, right? So it is nice just to have just a little tweak here and there, because a point or two when it's competitive matters, right? It matters. It can be between like not getting the grant and getting the grant. Like I've had grants scored 100 before that didn't get awarded because we didn't have the priority plus 3 points. You know what I mean? Like it can really matter. And it, like in getting a 98 towards a 97 can kick you up into like getting it awarded. So really, really important. So I'm so glad you're taking advantage of that. And yeah, let's kind of like go into that a little bit more too. Like what you kind of talked about some of the types of supports that have helped you, but like, are there anything else specifically in the Academy? Or like you've talked about the grant reviews, you've talked about the Freedom to Fail Fridays, which is our marketing thing on Fridays. Just knowing where to get into the room, the pitch deck, anything else that has been like, yeah, the last 3 months, this is like what hit really good for my business in this program.
Yes, another resource too is just offering nonprofits a wellness audit, because I do get those when it comes on discovery calls. Like, I can't afford your services, but I know I need it. Is there something else you can offer me instead to try to help me get closer to some grant writing work? So, having that nonprofit wellness audit, I didn't even think anything of it until I joined the academy. I was like, that is a great service to offer, which is just giving nonprofits like that full audit that they probably didn't realize they even needed until they came to me. Because they can't afford me just yet, but for right now, it's just something that I've been offering to nonprofits, and they actually really appreciate it because they just didn't realize like how much work and preparation you need to do before you're even ready for a grant.
Right, right. Yeah, and I love that you pointed that out because we do have a lot of like bonuses and that we have as part of the features of the academy, and we've been pulling more of those into the limelight as people kind of maybe they're getting out of writing so many federal grants and they want to diversify a little bit more. So I'm glad that you mentioned the nonprofit wellness audit. We love doing that, especially with like newer organizations that haven't won a lot of grants. It helps get them organized with their board structure, their financials, etc. And then like we have our nonprofit strategic planning course in there. We have how to become a grant reviewer. So we have like different things going on. And now we're kind of bringing those more to the limelight just to help with more diversified services. But to talk about some of your diversified services, I'm actually interested. So you have lobbying as part of that, and then you have nonprofit grant writing. And I know you said that's why you wanted to join the academy when you put in your joining. Why did you join form? Like to diversify some of those services as well. So is there anything else that you've pulled in from that, or are you just kind of keeping in those 2 lanes right now for your clients?
Yes, I also help clients with government contracts too, creating like a really compelling RFP. So I kind of converted from grant writing also to government contract request for proposal assistance as well, because it's very similar, very same kind of line of work, but it's just a little bit more complex compared to a grant writing process. Because with those RFPs, I help clients find specifically exactly what the RFP is looking for and help them promote that and market that so that way they can get closer to getting funding as well. It's, it's basically as same process as grant writing. It's just for contract instead. So I just generally promote government relations because government relations be anything such as a grant, but it can also be RFP, and it can also just be general public relations work, trying to get your nonprofit or your company out there in front of other government officials so that way they know that you exist and you matter, and eventually they're going to need something from you.
I love that so much. And yeah, and any tips and wise words then for people that are like, oh, I really want my organization to build relationships with the government because we know there's something like coming up in legislation or something that, they might be good for them. Like any tips on how to like get past the gatekeepers and all of that.
My best advice too to get through these gatekeepers is to hire a lobbyist. We know exactly who you need to talk to, what you need to say, and there's also state appropriations out there that your nonprofit can probably try to solicit for. It just depends in general, because in the Midwest they do heavily invest in nonprofits, but other parts of the country they may not do so. But if you are one of those fortunate states who do have a state legislature who will gladly give nonprofits some state appropriations, you should definitely hire a lobbyist and go for it, because those are some low hanging fruit opportunities for nonprofits.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting because I think a lot of nonprofits overlook their states for especially for contracts. Like you're talking about, they kind of might just look for grants, but they don't necessarily understand that there's also contracts out. I love contracts for nonprofits. Like honestly, I think they're very straightforward. I think the reporting usually isn't as
Yeah,
demanding. I mean, I guess it depends, but like,
I
you know
know.
what I mean? I feel like
Yep.
it's more like, did you do your scope of work this month? Yes. Right? It's like,
Yes.
we served X number of people and did this. Like, I feel like it can be simple.
Yep.
Obviously, it's a legally binding contract, so it's a little bit different than a grant agreement. But at the same time, like, I feel like they don't understand that there's a lot out there. Like you said, there's appropriations, or even just like things like that. Sometimes there's laws that say they have to hire like a veteran owned organization and they're going to have points that go to this. And if you're a veteran owned nonprofit, like, you know what I mean? Like you have
Right.
that and that's your target. Like you could apply for these contracts and actually get prioritization as well. So can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think, yeah, that's really overlooked.
Yeah, you actually nailed it right there. So the perfect example are these veteran-owned organizations. Some of these contracts. So let's say, for example, they are trying to build like a veteran building or something like that, but their requirement is that the contractor needs to be working with a veteran-owned nonprofit who specializes in A, B, and C. That's how you secure the contract, or that's how you get some of these low-hanging fruits. Most
Mhm.
of these nonprofits overlook that because when they think grants, they usually think right off the bat federal grants or federal contracts. But there's a lot of opportunities in states and even for foundations as well. So in the Midwest, a lot of these foundations they want you to not only be a nonprofit, but if you have like some sort of specialization, such as these veterans or such as working with immigrants and refugees, they will definitely prioritize you. So, for example, in Minnesota, there was just a grant that just released from a private foundation who wants to give money to you if you know a nonprofit who is being really detrimentally impacted from all these federal shifts. So they will give money to you, whether you're a nonprofit or not, to help these nonprofits try to work around all the federal shifts. So there's tons of money out there. It's just all about connecting and finding the right people and going to the right places, because federal level is not the end of the stop. There's tons of more stops on the way.
Yeah, yeah, and states it can be a little easier sometimes too. Like as you mentioned, it's who they want to give to their communities. So you're not competing with the nation; you're just in
Yes.
your state. So that's also like a different way to look at it. Like you obviously vet a lot of the competition out of the waters right away. So I like once again, I love state contracts. I love state grants. I love all of that, and it's so good. But I just want to talk about one more thing. And because you bring up lobbying, grant writing, and a lot of nonprofits would be like, "Oh, we can't lobby at all." Like, "Oh, stay away." Like, you know what I mean? Like, can you
Yeah.
talk about some of like what can they do, especially in these times while there's a lot of legal things going on and legislation, and they might want to be involved and have their voices heard, but they're afraid that that's considered lobbying. So you know what I mean? Can you kind of like talk about that division a little bit or
Yeah. So
non-division? Yeah,
people do tend to get intimidated when they think about nonprofits trying to get a lobbyist. So there's a lot of state laws out there that will let you get a lobbyist. You just can't use all of the funding that you're receiving on a lobbyist. So some grants, actually most grants, they won't let you use your money on a lobbyist, but that's not to say that your general operations fund, you can use it on a lobbyist. Um, so the fine line is just politically wise, though, you cannot have a political stance. And that's fine because you're a nonprofit. You're not supposed to be having a political stance anyways.
yeah,
So people tend to get intimidated when they hear investment on lobbyists, but that lobbyist is actually getting you state appropriations that you couldn't get by yourself. So it's a good investment because even in addition to lobbying, For me being a consultant, some grants will let you invest in a grant consultant. So that's why I get the best of both worlds. Okay, if you want me to take my lobbyist hat off, gladly. So that way we can talk about your grant strategy then.
I love that. And I love that clarity too, because I was just listening to a webinar from the National Council of Nonprofits too. And they were specifically saying, like, you can still reach out to your Congress people right now and advocate for things that you feel like, because there's a lot of changes going on. So be involved and be a part of that change. Don't feel like that's lobbying. It's okay to let your congressperson know, like, we won this grant, or we're doing this, or this is the impact of the community because we didn't get this grant, or whatever. Like, have that relationship. It's just about being, like you said, it's not like you're saying you're one party or the other, or whatever, you're supporting one person, but you can talk to politicians that make decisions that impact your community, right? So I think that's just interesting, and I wanted to highlight that. Because yeah, I hear that a lot, like, oh, and the other thing too is there's certain 501s that can lobby, right? So then you have, like, different types. So most of you out there that are listening, if you're a nonprofit, you have services in your community, usually a 501c3, which that has more restrictions, and like you do have to read those things like you were mentioning. But there's certain ones that, yes, you can, right? So like chambers, there a lot of times they're nonprofits, but there are a certain type of nonprofit that can do that. So it is understanding that and being clear on that too. So, but yeah, such a good conversation, Tina. Well, politics sideways today, but I love it so much. And anything else? Someone's on the fence. Like, we have our launch going on. It's coming up. Like, we got everything going on right now. So just a few months ago, you were in the same position. Should I join this? Should I not? Like, if somebody else is thinking the same thing, like, and they might be in a position too. Like, I might have started a business. I've never like gotten paid to write a grant, maybe just volunteered like you, right? And is this even a thing right now? Can I even make this work? Like, what would you tell them?
So if I was to hear someone in my exact same shoes, like I was 3 months ago, I'd say make the investment. Because with the academy, it was a investment that's actually it's small to me, but it's actually a big investment for my company. Because I did do shopping around, and there was other agencies or other companies who wanted to provide the same service but not give as much as the academy does for triple the price. So that's why
Yeah.
I think this was the best investment, because it was everything I was looking for. So I not only get a good network, not only do I get good ways to like market myself, but I come with free grant writing reviews. Like, there's no limitations, like you mentioned, and then it comes with like a standard grant application. Even though every grant application is different, the contents and like the context of the the master grant application is found in basically every single grant application. So I thought it was a great investment, because other companies, they're just willing to give me like a $6,000 a month for just a grant application. I was like, okay, but what about the other things I need? Like, I need like a grant review help. I need, like, basically another company that's so I just thought it's a great investment, because like I've met other people inside the network too who's given me referrals, because they're like, oh, I don't really want to take on this client. And then I'll reach out and say, would you mind if I take it? They're like, sure, here. And that's really helpful, versus the other company. Like, I probably have never had a Slack channel that I can just turn to like I do with the academy.
I love it. I love that people give each other referrals. They hire each other in the academy. Like, there's all the things. Like, we're like, okay. So yeah, we're even having like, okay, if you've hired somebody in here, or you're a subcontractor into somebody, you can also get private coaching, because you might not want to like talk about
Yeah.
like all of it. Like, we got it. We got it all. We got it all. But I love, because they're like, oh my gosh, y'all are hiring each other so much. And it is so cool to see that. Or just referrals, right?
Yep.
Referrals, as you mentioned, like, I'm not in this state and they need this, or I'm not in this cause area and they need this. So good. And then we have our grant writer directory. Are you on that yet? Are you on that yet, or not yet?
No, yeah,
You
not
got to get
yet.
on that?
Yeah,
You
but I
gotta
was looking. There's no one from Minnesota in there. I was like, I gotta get in there.
I did there. We got a lot of people coming to our website too. So when you're in the program, you can be on the page. All we ask is like, you've written at least, I think you've had 4 grant wins, and we reviewed 1 grant. So as soon as like that, and then like, so it's good. So we vet people, that, which is nice, I think, because when people, as a customer looking to hire someone, they want to know, like, who are these people? Can we trust them? So we go through the vetting process too, which I think is really cool. And it encourages people to like get the grant reviews because we know how important that is. Like for anything, I'm like, oh my gosh, how you write better grants is you write better grants.
Yeah. Yeah.
You write grants, you know, like where they are, you know, and I think that's so important too, right? To increase your confidence and everything before you give it to your clients, especially like you said, this is the first time I got paid to do it. Like, ooh, and I'm getting paid. And we even say like some people are like, but how do I go from that not getting paid to charging, right? Because that's like a weird thing in my mind of like, how can I charge someone if I've never like, you know, gotten paid before? And we're like, you can also like lean into the academy to be like, I have a team that reviews all of my grants and has over 20 years of experience and da 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 da, right? So it's like, yeah, just lean into that for your extension, right? And grant writing. And like you're leaning into your for lobbying, you're leaning on I was a state senator, I wrote bills, like I did this. Like you have the receipts. So as a grant writer now, you have the receipts because you had the academy, right? So I love that so much. So good. So Tina, tell us, where can people find you out there that are listening or watching?
Yeah, so you can find me at lobbyedge.org. I do specialize in Midwest territories, but I do love a challenge. So if you're outside the Midwest and need some help, don't hesitate to reach out.
I love that so much. And we'll have all of the show note or the links in the show notes. So definitely check that out over there as well. Thank you so much, Tina, for investing in the Academy, coming to our community and bringing so much value to it. And I'm so excited about your journey. So keep us updated. We'll see you in the Slack channel. We'll see you in the weekly coaching and all the things. But anything else you'd like to say before we close out today?
Just invest in yourself, invest in your company, and this academy is the great investment.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for all the work that you're doing. Thanks for coming on the podcast. See you back inside.
Thank you.